Hello, welcome to this video where we will speak about the possibilities that you have with Cisco ACI to achieve workload segmentation. In order to explain that, let's imagine that we have an application made out of two tiers, a database tier and a web tier. So in this case, we have two VMs for web and two for database. Let's have a look at these VMs at the console. So as you can see, this web VM has an IP address of 192.168.100.101. Let's have a look at the database virtual machine. It's in the same subnet, as you can see. It's at 201. Let's try to ping the web VM. Oh, we can ping the web VM, no wonder, because both are in the same subnet. So if we try to SSH to the web VM, it will work as well, since everything is in the same subnet. We have to accept for the new key and of course password, and there we are. SSH works as expected. Again, this is the IP address confirmation. Now, what does it look like in ACI? Let's have a look at the APIC. This is the Application Policy Infrastructure Controller. We have defined an application called My App, which is made out of these two tiers, database and web. If we look at the web tier, in this case we have all three VMs, database and web. Why? Because we are using one single VLAN 81. Now let's imagine that the application administrator wishes to segment these two tiers, database from web. If this is the case, we are the bad guys in the network side because we forced these guys to change their IP addresses, because the only way to segment two different VLANs from each other is to segment it into different subnets. And changing IP addresses is not something that application guys are willing to do. What does it look like with Cisco ACI? Much easier. We are not the bad guys anymore. Why? Because in this case, in ACI, VLANs are not tied to subnets. And we can configure two different VLANs inside of the same subnet and still filter traffic between those two VLANs. How does this work? Alright, let's change the VLAN in the database VM. So we will change from web port group to database port group, which is associated to a different VLAN. That was easy enough. Now let's see what does it look like in the APIC, in the ACI controller. Now we only see two VMs in the web tier. If we go to the database tier, we will see this new VM popping up in VLAN 82. That was easy. So what does the application look like, the application design? We have these two tiers, database and web, and we have configured a filter between those two tiers. This filter will allow it to traverse only ICMP traffic. This is the two tiers, and this is a filter between those. As you can see, we have configured the filter ICMP. Now let's go back to the VM, to the console. So we still can ping from the database to web. The question is whether we will be able to SSH. As you can see, it doesn't work anymore. Why? Because the filter between those two tiers is preventing anything apart from ICMP to flow between web servers and database servers. So here, exactly the same thing. We can ping the database server, but we cannot SSH to the database server. Now notice, both VMs are still in the same subnet, and both VMs have the same default gateway, in this case the 192.168.100.1, and both VMs can ping this their default gateway, and obviously they can get through the external world. So what have we seen here? We've seen the possibility of segmenting servers inside of one single subnet into two different groups using two different VLANs, but without having to change any IP address in any one of the servers.